Hey everyone, I'm Steph,
I'm Megan.
and welcome to another episode of Late Night Reads.
This week we are talking contemporary romance and covering A Very Italian Wedding by Donna Ashcroft. Mwah. Little chef's kiss Italian. Mwah.
So let's start with why we selected A Very Italian Wedding. When you read this book, it feels like you're being transported to Italy, which then made me want to book a trip to Italy in the future and assume anyone else that was traveling to Europe this summer was in fact going to Italy.
Numerous times you're like, Megan, you're going to Italy, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm going to France. But you're like, Italy. I'm like,
I
you've got this
actually
book
put
on
it
your mind.
I actually put it in my calendar that you were going to be in Italy. I saw it the other day and I was like, what is wrong with me? So that's how much this book makes you think that you either are in Italy or you should go to Italy or your friends are going to Italy.
Yeah.
It also has some of the most memorable characters, specifically Aurora and Aldo, that I don't think I've ever seen two side characters, one of which who is a spirit, that have stuck with me as much as those two have.
I
And
love
then
them.
I really did. And then Rose and Ben, who are like the main characters, have like a ton of emotional depth to them, but it also doesn't feel too heavy, which is like makes that like kind of like a perfect summer read. If you read this at the beach or the pool, I always say like the perfect summer read does not cause you to cry, so you don't get sunscreen in your eyes.
Or you can read this while you're in Italy.
Or while you're in Italy or in France and
Or
think about
France.
Italy.
Yeah. Yeah. So here are a few things that you should know about the author, Donna Ashcroft. She writes a lot of feel-good romantic comedies with just extremely memorable characters. So number one, that's just a fun feel-good book right there. She spent 15 years in publishing as a freelance copywriter before trying to get her own book published. And she has published 15 books so far, with A Very Italian Wedding being her latest book. She has numerous ones that take place in the Scottish Highlands, as well as numerous books set around Christmas time. So maybe that's like a Hallmark movie waiting to happen, I feel
It,
like.
it does feel like that a little bit when you read it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, before we just jump into discussing this book, a couple of key reminders as always. This episode will contain spoilers. We assume if you're listening, you've read the book, you've been warned. This book does contain a couple of topics that may be sensitive for some readers. Anxiety, which I think Rose has. Obviously, car accident, divorce, and PTSD.
Very true. A short list, though. Short
Yes.
list. Not bad. So now let's talk tropes. Our first trope is forced proximity. Rose and Ben are forced to spend time together because their best friends have decided to get married in Italy after only knowing each other for about a month. And you're like, this seems suspicious. But they're very, very close to one another, have to go on the same plane, go in the same car. Like, it's a whole forced proximity mess. Next, you have a holiday romance or vacation romance. So, since this wedding is happening in Italy, Rose and Ben have to travel there together from England. And it feels very much like a vacation romance because they're both behaving in ways that they likely wouldn't do in their day to day lives. So, that's fun to see how that plays out. Next, we have opposites attract. Rose is rigid with lots of rules about relationships, and Ben is way more laid back about things. They seem like polar opposites when they first meet, but they end up having a lot in common once they get to know each other. Next, we have found family, and it's obvious that Ben treats the Marinos as his found family in the entire book, and Rose quickly gets brought into that family once she arrives in Italy and meets everyone. And it's a very sweet, just like Italian family. Like, I want to go and join and be like, can I go to the Marino like place and like have some wine? It's a great atmosphere.
Same. So, in terms of drama, there's a lot. So, when we first meet Rose, she is not thrilled that Ben, the best man, is more than 2 hours late to meet her at the airport to fly to a wedding that she doesn't even think should be happening. So, that's like strike one. You're 2 hours late. She's the person that's like at the gate, ready to go. And he's like sauntering up, like as they're calling the last boarding call, is
Who
how
does
I
that? First of all, it's an international flight and you're 2 hours late. Like, what's the backstory there, buddy? What happened?
What happened? Where were you? Who were you
Where
talking
were
to?
you?
I just assumed
Yeah.
he was like chatting with like, because he does seem to attract lots of women who just like to chat with him. He probably just got caught up chatting with someone. And then we have this wedding that is happening, and they just met each other a month ago and have decided to get married. Huh. Okay. Um, so apparently her best friend Luna and then Ben's best friend Marco think it's completely normal to get married after meeting someone for a month, and they're going to do exactly that in Italy. So Rose is now stuck on a plane with Ben, who happens to be like super gorgeous. Yay for that. And she also has been, I think, nominated, voluntold, but she
Yep.
has to bring Luna's dog Coco to Italy, who she refers to as the demon from hell. So Coco is a little Shih Tzu. I have a little Shih Tzu. I don't think they're demons from hell. I do think that they are very particular and have strong personalities
Yeah.
and know if you don't like them. So, and wouldn't you know, not only do flight attendants like Ben, but so does the dog, the dog
Naturally.
hates Rose, but the dog loves Ben. So everyone seems to be in love with Ben when they first meet him, except for Rose. He is like enemy number one. And then she also happens to be a marriage counselor who has seen like her parents divorce and remarry multiple times. And so she like has this very logical and like slightly pessimistic outlook on love. So she's very much like almost like a love scientist. Is called like the love doctor, but it feels like she almost takes it as like a science, especially when you start to learn her rules later in the book. And then to make matters worse, there's a little bit of turbulence, and Ben spills coffee on Rose's cream suit. First of all, who travels in a cream suit on an
Yeah, that's just
airplane?
asking for trouble.
Like, not a good idea. And then
Is it
all of her
wrinkle free?
it was like I think linen, right? So I
Yeah, linen
probably, I
suit.
guess, but
No, linen wrinkles.
I
Linen
think it does
wrinkles.
too. When people are like, "Oh, linen's so easy to travel with," I'm like, "Have you worn it?" I feel like every time I like move in it, it looks rumpled. No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the airline loses her luggage. So it's just like a great situation for her. It's also clear at this point that like Rose and Ben are on opposite sides of whether or not this wedding should happen. Rose is like going to Italy to talk Luna out of it. And Ben is like so supportive of Marco's like sudden wedding. And I'm like, let the scheming begin, let the games begin. And then if it can't get better or worse, depends on who you ask, the flight is diverted to another airport. And Marco is like, oh, well, if you're going to be there, can you take a detour and pick up my Aunt Aurora? It's just a couple hours out of the way. No big deal. And then we learned that she's a clairvoyant and predicted their flight would be redirected last night and asked Marco to have them pick her up. And I'm just like, wait, what? She is, as soon as I read her on the page, I was like, this is either going to be really outlandish or really amazing. There's no like middle ground for this character, and she's definitely fascinating and unforgettable. So on the way to Aunt Aurora's house, we learn that Rose has fear of driving in cars while abroad due to an accident that she had when she was a child in Paris. And like, to be honest, I can't think of a time where I've been in another country where they've driven on the opposite side of the road where I wasn't a little freaked out, and I've not been in an accident in another country. So I think that's kind of like a normal reaction, but I think it's just some PTSD left over from it. But we learn a couple of things on this journey to meet Aunt Aurora that becomes issues later in the book. So Luna's mom, Deborah, is a marine biologist. She's stationed off an island in Scotland, which can make traveling difficult. She's also supposed to bring her grandmother's necklace so Luna can wear it on her wedding day. And I'm like, that obviously is going to go poorly for Luna and her mom. Luna owns an herbal tea business, while Marco runs an architectural company with Ben. Rose receives multiple calls from her parents that she continues to ignore. And I'm like, are your parents going to keep calling? Because that's what mine would do. You should probably pick it up at some point, girlfriend. Right? Yeah. Even if it's not an emergency. So then Ben is basically like part of Marco's family. They joke like he's the second son. And the entire family of the Marinos is extremely close, and they're all supposedly excited for the wedding. Not true. And then Marco likes to dress up, and Luna's like a much more casual person with her attire. And then we learn that technically Rose is the psychologist, and her clients call her the love doctor.
Yeah. And you're like, does she have a podcast? I'm so curious.
Does she have a podcast?
Maybe. Yeah.
Also, I find it interesting that like she's young and never been married and is the love doctor.
Yeah, like that doesn't add up, which Ben
No.
eventually calls her out on. You're like,
Yeah.
ooh, maybe you shouldn't have done that. That's bad for you. So they pick up Aunt Aurora, and she is even more amazing and extravagant than you can imagine, which I'm like, I kind of want to be friends with her. She sounds fun.
Right?
So, for starters, her clothes are eccentric, like tons of sequins and bright colors, and just like bam, in your face. The complete opposite of anything you would ever see Rose in until she actually has to borrow some of Aurora's clothes since hers are still lost. Spoiler alert, we never find her suitcase, by the way. Her luggage never appears. So you're just like, I don't know what you had in there, but all that stuff's gone, honey. Um, so she's now having to wear Aurora's clothes. And Aurora is very interesting. She has a dead husband, Aldo, that she can still communicate with. Like, she's like a psychic in a weird way. So he apparently can like see things in the future and like telepathically like tells her about it, and like she's able to communicate with everyone else, and you're like, this is interesting, but it happens to be true a lot of the time. So he tells them that they need to leave soon to avoid getting caught up in something that's happening on the roads, and he even like gives them driving directions sometimes, and you're like, okay. And so it's like, oh, this is a shortcut. Aldo says to go this way, there's a shortcut, and you're like, all right. Ben listens to him. He's like, okay, let's do it. Let's do what the dead guy in your head is saying. Sure, that's gonna go great. So throughout the drive, Aldo, via Aurora, continues to then ask Rose a lot of personal questions that she surprisingly answers. And it's almost like Aurora is helping Ben and Rose get to know each other better by asking questions you would typically ask someone else when you're first dating. So really, I would say Aurora is the love doctor here.
Yes, very much so.
You
Or
know,
Aldo.
or Aldo, yeah, the two of them. So, and also like you can't be mad at a spirit. So it's like, okay, but is it the spirit or is it you, Aurora? I don't know. Like you are just the medium that it's traveling through. But we learned a little bit more about Rose's relationship rules that she puts on her couples that she, is doing her love doctoring with. So basically, one of the rules is they have to have shared interest, which seems like, okay, decent rule. All right. But it quickly becomes evident that this could be problematic for Luna and Marco because they have very different interests. Luna is very passionate about tea. Marco thinks it tastes like dirty feet water. And you're like, that's going to be a problem, I think. And there's more stuff along those lines. And you're like, okay.
Like strike one,
Maybe.
Marco.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, have you had dirty feet water
Ew. Yeah, how do
or
you
good
compare it to
tea?
that?
Yeah. I feel like,
Yeah.
especially if you live in the UK, like the tea in the UK is fantastic. I don't know how you could say it tastes like dirty feet water.
Yeah. And one could argue that coffee is just dirty bean water,
Exactly.
but I love coffee, so I'm not
I
going to
don't
say
drink
that.
it. I would.
I drink it black,
I don't drink it at
like my
all.
soul. Hence why we read dark romanticises.
It's
But this is not that scene. But it's
No.
Italian. Hey.
Italian. It's
Very good.
coffee.
Let's go.
Okay. So we also learned that Rose's mother and father are both getting married again for like the multiple fourth, fifth, who knows at this point. They're like a soap opera. And
Mhm.
they happen to be getting married on the same day. And then now they are trying to convince Rose to come to their wedding and not the others. So they're basically like narcissistic parents who only care about what they want. And there's like some gaslighting that goes on throughout the book with both of her parents. It's real frustrating. And then like this bad luck that Rose has been having continues because the rental car gets a flat tire. And the spare tire also happens to be flat. Great. So they have to walk to the nearest hotel. And there isn't anyone that can fix the car that day, so they're going to have to spend the night. But the hotel room doesn't have any like rooms until miraculously 2 rooms open up that are like shared. And they're like, well, normally it's for families, but we'll let you stay there.
Ben's cute, and he's just like, hey, honey,
Hey,
the receptionist.
And like at the time when like the car breaks down or there's no hotel rooms, or it's like Aldo says it will turn out fine. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, are we listening to the crazy voices inside Aurora's head? Like, I'm concerned. But then, like, more throughout the book, you're like, oh shit, she might really be talking to her dead husband who can see things.
Yeah, maybe. Huh.
Maybe. So the initial plan is for Aurora and Rose to share a room because there's like 2 twin beds in each room. But then she keeps like talking out loud and arguing with Aldo throughout it. So like Rose can't sleep. So in between the rooms is like a shared bathroom. So she goes over and like kind of like knocks on the door in Ben's room and she was like, I can't sleep. He's like, well, do you want to share a room with me? You can have this other bed. And I'm like, okay, okay. And I was like, are we going to get a 1 bed trope? Are we going to,
Like,
something going to happen?
Yeah.
No, because then Ben says something stupid.
Go figure.
And
Ben.
she's like, I'd rather go sleep in the other room. Great. So we also start to see Ben conspiring with Marco to prevent Rose from getting Luna to call off the wedding. So it starts like really small with like Rose, like things like Marco and Luna are having like an early night. That way Rose won't call Luna. And then it kind of ramps up throughout the book to like some potentially bigger scheming. However, I think it's like really important to know like Ben is, at least in the beginning, he's merely trying to give Rose a chance to get to know Marco and see how much he loves Luna before she jumps to the conclusion that she's already jumped to, which is that they shouldn't get married. So anytime Rose finds out that Ben has been scheming against her or like doing anything to prevent her from talking to Luna, it influences her already very low impression of him that she has like at this point in the book. She does not think he's a good person.
No. And she's like, you should not be getting married right now. Which honestly, I'm kind of on the same side. I'm like, you can't marry a man you just met. You know, I'm like, you don't know each other that well. Like, this is insane. Why can't you wait a year or, you know, a few more months?
Or like a couple months. Yeah.
Yeah, at least. So I'm with Rose on that one. I'm like, this is too soon. So we learn a little bit later that Ben apparently was left at the altar on his wedding day. Oof. That's rough. So
Yeah.
that's pretty bad. And it's at the same place where Marco plans to get married. So his previous fiance apparently realized she wasn't ready and didn't want to marry him, and that she apparently had only been infatuated with his looks and didn't really take the time to get to know him underneath. That must have been a huge dagger to the heart, honestly, for him. Like, to feel like he wasn't loved at all for who he was, like, on the inside during the relationship, and, like, she only cared about, like, the trophy husband, like, how he looked on the outside. Like, that sucks. So you get why he's closed off. You get it. So Ben's sharing of all this information leads Rose to share about her parents' marriage and how horrible it was. So she tells him about how they constantly try to use her as a pawn, you know, against each other, and how they're even doing it even now with their upcoming weddings, like saying, you have to be at mine, you can't be at theirs, like, I need you, blah, 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 blah. And at this point, it becomes clear that Rose has never really been the child in the relationship with her parents. She's always been the parent to her parents, or she's literally been the therapist to her parents. And you're just like, dude, like, this feels so wrong on so many levels, that like the child should be the one to provide them with guidance on their relationships, even if it is her job. It's like, no, you find someone else. That's just not appropriate. So she's just like, she still feels obligated though. Like, she's trying and she's like wants to help them turn out a better relationship than ones they had in the past. And so she's caught in the middle of that all the time. Hence why she thinks that, you know, rushing into a marriage like Luna and Marco are doing is a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, she's seen a lot of them unsuccessful in her life.
Yeah.
So when they finally arrive at the Marino family restaurant, they're greeted by both Marco and Luna, and they have like a wonderful Italian lunch. Give me all the pasta, please.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's all
like,
I thought of.
A pizza, a pasta, a wine. Yum, yum.
In my belly.
In my belly.
Exactly.
I want it. Yeah.
And we learn a lot during the lunch. So we learn that their wedding is happening on the same day that most people in his family get married. So the date's very important. So that's why it's like in a month after meeting. And one of the rules that Rose has is that you don't sleep with someone until you've been seeing each other for 7 weeks. So we know Marco and Luna have already broken that rule.
They broke that rule a long time ago.
She also believes you shouldn't marry until you've been together for a year. I wasn't together with my husband for a year before we got married, so
I
we've
was
been
with
married
my
over 20
husband.
years and it's
Yeah,
worked out well.
it worked out fine. See, I was with my husband for 5 years before he proposed, and I was like, TikTok, buddy, let's go. Come
Let's
on,
go.
this is too long.
Marco happens to be allergic to dogs. And as a reminder, Coco is Luna's dog and like her child. He's
Yeah,
like, I'll just
that's
take an antihistamine. I'm like, that's not how it works, Marco.
like, I appreciate you for trying, but
Kind
that's
of a
gonna
big
be
deal.
rough.
Marco wants to ensure that Rose and Luna are never left alone together because he's afraid of losing Luna because he believes that she is his true love, which is really sweet. But like Marco, you just go about it in the wrong way because he's like, Ben,
Yeah.
can you keep Rose occupied until the wedding so she can't talk Luna out of marrying him? Why don't you distract her with some romance? And Ben's like, I'll spend time with her, but I'm not going to like have a fling with her. I'm like, Marco, are you trying to pimp out your friends? Like, what are you doing?
Right. And also, I'm like, your friend just 2 years ago, like, had his heart broken. And now you're like literally telling him to like use his looks to like win somebody over. Like, do you not know
Yes.
your friends at all? Like, that's not cool either.
Marco is not being a good friend in this situation. So then we learn that Marco's Nana and Nano, so grandmother and grandfather, are fighting, and
Nona,
his
no,
Nona,
no.
yes, and
Nona,
they
no, no.
Nona and Nono. That just sounds so weird to me. Um, so I'll butcher it 4 more times before this episode is over. You're all welcome. And so she's trying to talk him out of getting married. So we were previously told by Ben that like everyone's excited about this wedding. Not necessarily the case.
No,
And
no.
no, from the Nona.
Yeah.
And then we go to what they call the Villa of Paradise, which is the Marino family home. Absolutely gorgeous based on the description. Would love to live there, stay there. Please invite us.
Hmm.
And Rose's first priority when she gets there is to chat with Luna, but she can't chat with her. Instead, she has to talk to her mom, who's like harassing her about like, you're coming to my wedding, right? And I feel like it's maybe like a generational thing, but I'm like, was our parents' generation taught how to guilt trip people like in high school? Like, was there a class on this where they were all
Yes.
taught the best way to gaslight and guilt trip others? Because that generation is perfect at it.
Yeah. After you took home ec, you went to persuasion, aka gaslighting 101. Easy.
Yay.
Everybody did that in the 70s or 60s or whatever.
Whatever.
Ugh, it explains a lot. So then we have Ben. He's trying to occupy Rose's time, but on his own terms. He's like, I'm not going to seduce her, but, I'll take her out and go do stuff. So he's like, let's go to the village of Bella Emilia to shop for some clothes. And he immediately takes her to this boutique that doesn't really appear to be Rose's style, but she has limited options. So she's like, okay. So Madame Rossi pushes her out of her comfort zone and helps her find some amazing items, honestly, while Ben is definitely flirting with her throughout the process. And at first, Rose is like, is Ben like having a fling with this Francesca lady? Like, she's older, like she's a cougar, like what's going on? Like, but finally, she gets some cute clothes, some red lingerie, and you're like, I know I'm seeing that one later. I know I
I know Ben
am.
is.
I know Ben is. Oh yes. So she gets some nice clothes that actually like fit her and like look good on her, and they're definitely out of her comfort zone, but much better than a cream linen pantsuit. Like,
Right.
come
No
on,
one should
girl.
wear that ever.
So finally, Rose gets to talk to Luna before the engagement party. And while Luna understands why Rose may have some concerns, she really hasn't made this decision lightly, and she really wants to marry Marco. Luna doesn't agree to have to sit down with Rose with Marco tomorrow to chat with them, just to try and get Rose off of her back a little bit. She's like, "Okay, I know you have the best intentions. You're my best friend. I'll do this for you." But then at the engagement party, Ben is such a gentleman by telling Rose how incredible she looks in this like gorgeous navy, like low cut dress and like super sexy. And he's taken into the time to introduce her to different people at the party, trying to make an effort to ensure she's comfortable in this new setting. And we also see multiple people comment about the two of them together and how glad they are to see that Ben has now gotten over his ex, which he doesn't like to talk about. He's like, let's not go there. And things start to get a little interesting here when Aurora announces she wants to do a reading for both Luna and Rose at the party. Like she even brought her crystal ball, like everything. It's a whole, like the ambiance is set with candles, and they're all like, yes, yes, a reading, a reading. Interesting. Okay. So apparently, also, you have Marco's Nona, who is shouting about how no marriage can be a success since she's having problems with her husband, and then assumes that everyone else will end up miserable just like she currently is. She continues to interject throughout this entire reading, just being like, see, the only useful thing in a marriage are the babies, the bambinos. And you're like, oh my
Oh
God.
shit, right?
Sure. And honestly, Rose is like, yeah, great. I'm glad this lady's on my side. And everybody else is like, shut up, shut up, shut up. So we learn then that according to Aurora, Rose has already met her future. We're looking at you, Ben. Hey, buddy. But they're both just like, no, 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 no. But it takes a very different shift here when Nona, again, is asking about the babies for Luna and Marco. And Luna and Marco are both just like, we haven't talked about this yet. Like, stop pushing this pressure. And Aurora responds that it appears to be unclear, which then causes, Luna to be upset. And Marco is trying to be supportive, but it's like a whole mess. And honestly, why do people always pressure everybody who's getting married to have kids? It's like first they're like, get married, get married, get married. And then once they're about to, they're like, have babies, have babies, have babies. And then like, even when you have a baby, they're like, when's the next one? When's the next one? It's like, mind your own goddamn business. Okay? Like, let people be.
This is what if they
like,
can't?
what if they don't want kids? Or if they can't have kids? Or if they can't have kids? And it's just like, dude.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
I remember when we got married, it was like after we got back from our honeymoon, everyone was like, when are you having kids? And I'm like, we just got married. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm like 23. What do you mean?
Yeah. Let me enjoy my time with my husband.
Exactly. We actually started, and I highly recommend this rule because I'm stubborn as hell. It was called the 5-year rule.
Oh,
5 years from the last time you asked me. And
how'd that work? Did people shut up?
They did. After,
Oh.
like, I'm like, okay, well, it'll be 5 years from now. And I think as, like, my mom knew how stubborn I was. And so she was like, so she stopped asking after, like, a year or two. She was like, no, like, she's like, shit, you're serious. I'm like, yeah, I'm very serious.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
watch
not,
me.
watch me.
Yeah.
So.
I'm the same. If someone tells me not to do something, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
And I'm the opposite in terms of like, you tell me not to do something, I'm going to go do it. I'll be like, you can't tell me what to do. And I'll show you right now.
So next morning, Ben has Rose go with him to pick up a wedding gift for Luna and Marco that is from his Nona.
Nona.
His grandmother, Isabella.
Nonna. Isabella.
Isabella. You can tell that I've taken 0 Italian. And
I did a study abroad in Italy, so that's why I'm like, come on, I got you.
So you know this, and I've not been to Italy. And I can't go to Olive Garden since I'm allergic to gluten.
Oh, no.
That was a joke, because some people used to say, like, oh, I've been to an Olive Garden. I'm like, that's not Italian food.
It's not Italian
Give me
food.
the, like, family-run Italian restaurant where everything is cooked from scratch. Okay.
Yes.
But anyways, they go to get this gift from Isabella, and there's a significant amount of superstition to this gift because it's a fertility statue that requires a man and a woman to pick it up. And like the family is hoping, like, if it gets picked up, that maybe it'll calm Isabella down from being so loud and get her to stop telling everyone that marriage is a mistake. Sounds like a great idea. Ben also suggests the time, he's like, oh, Rose, you should go ahead and pack a bikini and a towel. There's some great restaurants on the beach that we could stop at for lunch. And I'm like, this sounds like a date. Right? Like, do you want to get her in a bikini? That sounds like a date. So a lot happens on this. I'm going to call it a little adventure. So Ben finally does tell Rose that Isabella and Caesar are fighting because Caesar apparently...
I know it's gonna throw you off.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm going to say Caesar because
Cesare.
Cesare.
Yeah.
Okay. I should have given Megan should talk about this section of book. But his
It's okay. You can say Caesar.
Marco's grandfather. Or I just need to go to Italy. I will tell
There
my
you go.
husband that that is negatively impacting my ability to podcast correctly, and therefore is required that I travel to Italy immediately.
It's for
We'll see how
research, for
much
science.
for science. Like I can't. It's required.
Needs to happen.
Okay, so he accidentally burned down this olive tree that he planted years ago for Isabella before they got married. And so, because she's super superstitious, it caused a fight. She thought their marriage was over. We learn later that it really has more to do with the fact that he got a phone and he's like obsessed with it now. But like burning down like the love tree probably also didn't help.
I didn't know how to lose a guy in 10 days. You let our love fern die.
Exactly, that's what I thought of too.
You let our olive tree burn, which also you shouldn't have been smoking out there. You said
Correct.
you quit. Bad.
You were probably on your phone when it happened.
He was.
So.
Yeah, he was on his phone just like throw it and just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
So they go and they pick up the statue. It's like outside of the shop. And then they're like, oh, what's this? And Rose touches it. Ben touches it. And then he like reads the note that if you touch the statue, it can make you more fertile or it can make you likely to get someone pregnant. And then both of them start freaking out and like, oh, I don't want to touch it. Well, your whole like, we already touched it. I'm not going to touch it. Can we put it in a bag? So they put it like in a bag in the back in like the trunk of the car or the boot of the car.
Boot.
I could just see that playing in my head. Like, it reminded me of like something you might see on Friends.
Yeah. It's like a hot potato. Like, no, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. I was worried they were going to drop it and break it right then and there. I was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Are they going to break it? What happens if you break it? Does bad fertility come to you? Like, or do you get more babies? Because it's in more pieces now that you have to pick up. Okay.
It's like the Jewish tradition of breaking the glass. Like, that's how many years of happiness you have.
So maybe that would be a good thing. But they don't break it at this point. They head to the beach, and like lots of women are noticing Ben like as he's taking his shirt off, and Rose is just like, I was not here for a show. But he gets in the water, she finally gets in the water, and the waves are like pushing them together. And then there's like this chemistry that starts to happen when they touch each other. And they talk about how like both of them aren't in relationships, and Ben's like, I don't do serious relationships, which like sounds like such a guy thing. I don't do serious relationships. And then that's when we also see Ben assume that Rose thinks he's shallow. And because she's been making lots of comments that would lead him to believe that. And that's also, we know, like an insecurity of his. And before she really gets a chance to respond, like something else distracts them, and it kind of just like lingers. So on the drive home, Rose is very uncomfortable because remember, she was in that car accident. She's just very anxious throughout the entire car ride. He's like, I can distract you, but I normally would distract you by flirting. And she's like,
see, I thought he was going to distract her by like orgasm.
He should have. That would have worked better.
I mean, how Poppy go to sleep, you know? Good distraction.
It's science, you guys.
Science.
It would calm you down. Orgasms give you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy. Happy people don't stress about while riding in a car in Italy.
Yeah.
Just thoughts for next time. Just thoughts. So he flirts with her. He gives her lots of compliments, and she like refutes all of them and makes like a crack about like how lame it is and how like women must fall for his charm, which like seems to hit a nerve with him. It's funny because I think in a lot of ways, like she thinks he's shallow or kind of maybe like self-absorbed in the beginning of the book. And reality, I think she's kind of playing into that, but she also is really negative and kind of mean towards him with some of her comments, even if you didn't know his backstory. So Ben's like, I'm not like that. And she's like, I mean, I believe you, but like, it's easier to paint you as a picture of like someone I can't respect because like you want the wedding to happen. And I'm like, does that mean you still need to belittle him? Like, what the actual fuck? Like, we can be nice to people we disagree with. So then we have this situation where if it can't get worse, it does.
Yeah, right.
Other drivers are being like pretty aggressive. Ben's trying to like stay on the road. He ends up going off the road. Rose freaks out. Another great opportunity for an orgasm. Doesn't happen. However, Ben's like trying to calm her down, and then Rose ends up kissing him and ends up like getting in his lap in the car, which I'm very curious about because Italian cars are small from what I've like seen photos of. So I'm like, how did you get over there so quickly? It's a pretty hot makeout session. And then it's like, it snaps. And Rose is like, I'm done.
It's like, oh my
And
God, what am I
it
doing
was
here?
probably just like adrenaline and the fertility statue. I'm like, yes, let's blame it on the fertility statue that made you climb over the car to get in Ben's lap and make out with him.
Which then, of course, he's like, I need to get up and stretch my legs really quick. Slash, walk off this boner he probably has, you know.
Right? And he like
He's
goes
like,
around
I
the
need a
car
minute.
I need a minute to check for damage. I'm like, there wasn't damage, Ben. You just needed a minute. Because you enjoyed it.
Of course he did. Of course. Naturally. And I'm like, girl, I would hop right back on that. Come on.
I don't know why
So,
you got off of it.
I know. So rude. So then they get back to the villa and it's time to make some wedding favors, which seems like a very typical like pre-wedding event. Apparently, the wedding favor is a tradition in which you hand out 5 almonds to signify health, wealth, happiness, and fertility and longevity. And I mean, hopefully nobody here has a nut allergy, but you know, Italians
That's
don't really
all I
believe
thought
that.
of.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope no one's allergic to almonds.
Yes. So, you know, you have to carefully like wrap everything up and tie it and make sure you have all 5. And if you drop, when you drop one, that's when Isabella's like, well, there goes the happiness one. And you're like, damn.
Great.
Bitter old lady over there. Whew. So during this activity, Luna shares with Rose that she and Marco haven't really talked about having a family yet, but everyone in his family seems to just be obsessed with it. And surprisingly enough, Rose doesn't immediately act like this is another sign that Luna's marriage is doomed, and then questions her if she's qualified to give that advice on this topic. Because again, she's like, I don't have babies. I've not been married yet. I don't know what's going on. But she's still a love doctor, right? Okay. So basically, it further escalates then when Luna and Marco are given the fertility statue. Huh. And once they find out what it is, neither the one of them want to touch it once they're told what it does. And, you know, they're doing the hot potato thing, and we're like, uh-oh, uh-oh. And it breaks. Bad. Bad, 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 bad. It breaks, shatters into a million pieces. Isabella says this is a sign. Now she won't be coming to the wedding. And it's just like, are you serious? Like, I honestly don't believe that a lot of Italians are superstitious like this. This is it's just this family, I feel like, where I'm like, why? Where's this coming from? I don't know. They're super crazy about that. So then Luna learns that her mom's traveling plans are still delayed and like she might not be able to come to the wedding. And so now they have to postpone it, which this does not go over well with Marco, who thinks like, no, 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 let's just get married anyway. We have to get married on this date. It's very, very like important to me and my family. Like he makes it even worse than when he tells Luna that she's being over emotional. And things to think rationally and calm down. And it's like, dude, never, ever tell a woman that. Like you
Or
will
just
get
like another
slapped.
person. Like if you
Yeah.
tell people like calm down, it does not go well. Try telling a
Yeah.
child to calm down.
Oh my God. Every time I try and tell my kids to calm down, it just escalates more. And I'm like, why did I think this would work?
Because calm down, I think, is like a trigger word for everyone. It's like registered in your brain. If when someone tells you to calm down, you're like, I must not calm down.
It's like, watch me level up. Ah, crazy how it goes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So then it's time for the surprise that the guys have been working on, which might normally have been a great idea, except this tension is already like super, super high. And the surprise is fireworks. Hello, there's a dog there. The dogs are deathly afraid of fireworks. And this causes Coco to run off and like she's, you know, scared. And Luna isn't panicking. She's like, oh my God, my dog. Like Marco's like, it's okay, it's okay. The dog will come back in the morning. But Luna's like, no, we have to go look for my dog. Because if we don't find my dog, this wedding is off. And you're like, oh, damn. Which I'm just like, why? Why does all of this craziness have to, like, I get it, it's our, you know, fun book, but we're just like, this is so insane. Like, first you got Isabella freaking out about the broken statue. Then you have the fireworks. Then you have the dog missing. And then Luna's like, this wedding is over. It's cursed. And you're like, where's my wine?
Right? At least you're like in Italy and there's a lot of wine available.
Yes, yes.
But I feel like while it is like over exaggerated in terms of the number of things going wrong and how outlandish they are, I do feel like every wedding has a number of things that go wrong, like especially like in the days leading up to it. Like for
Yeah.
us, I know our the country club we booked our reception like 6 weeks before the wedding told us they double booked it.
No.
Yes. And I was like, because they normally have like a big annual event and they had booked our wedding on the same day that was supposed to happen. And I was like in tears at work when I got the call. And I called my husband and he was like, I'll take care of this. He called me back. He was like, we've already paid your deposit. We've already signed the contract. You're telling me that you're going to take your annual event that costs you money over our wedding that is paying you
You're make
money. And they're like,
yeah.
touche. And
Yeah.
then my stepdad, like 3 days before my wedding, said he wasn't coming. There's a big
Oh
drama about that.
my
And
gosh.
his mom had to get involved and was like, stop, stop. And he did end up coming. But like, it was just my mom. This is crazy because, like, like my mom, I think, decided at the time we were doing like typically with like dinner packages 20 years ago, it was like water, lemonade, tea. And then we had like we weren't buying like the automatic like soft drink package for everyone because I was just like, well, if people want that, like, okay. But I was like, it's not is water, soft drink, like water, tea, and lemonade not enough? According to my
Yeah.
mom, it wasn't. And she was like, you have to have soft drinks. And I was like, do we?
Yeah.
Like, because like my husband and I were paying for the wedding and we're like 23 at the time, right? Like we just
Yeah.
graduated. And
Yeah.
what was hilarious about this, she's like, okay, then I will get some coolers. I'll put them in my car. And I like, if you want soft drinks, you can go out to my car. And I was like, you cannot do that at the country club, woman. And I was like, shit, she's serious.
Serious.
She was a thought. And I was like, oh my God. So,
I don't remember. Did you end up doing that?
no, because I ended up just paying for everyone to have soft drinks. And I think like 10 people out of the 200 at my wedding actually had a soft drink. It was like something really ridiculous. And I was just like, I give up. But like, I can't. So
Gosh. Yeah. No.
it's crazy. But I feel like every wedding has like those stories where it's like these weird things go wrong or people create drama at the last minute. Nothing as crazy as this, but it did
But
make
yeah.
me reflect on it a little bit.
I had wedding cake drama.
Mm.
I did not. My husband and I don't really like cake. Like, we're more like, we like pie and like, we like ice cream. But we're like, cake is like so so. So we're like, we don't really want to do like a wedding cake. We don't want to do the traditional thing. Like, we want to do something else. My mom lost her fucking shit over this thing. She was like, you will have a wedding cake. And I'm like, but we don't want, but it's our wedding. We don't want that. She's like, well, you're going to have it if you like it or not. And we're like, oh my God. So she won. She got her wedding cake. And we were just like, okay. So we cut the cake and like, here you go, mother. Here's your cake. And she took home like that top layer that people
Tear.
save. Yeah, the top tier that you save for like the year later. She took it home. And I was like, how's your cake? Did
Was
you
it
like your
good?
cake? Was it good? Yeah.
That
But I was
was
just like,
the only cake I got at my wedding was the top tier after I got home from my honeymoon because they didn't give us cake. Like after we cut it, there was like so much stuff going on. No one gave us cake. I had like the tiny piece that he fed me. I didn't get cake. And then we got the top tier that they like wrap up for you to freeze for a year. And I was like, when we got home from our honeymoon, I was like, I'm eating that cake. And he was
yeah,
like,
like I'm hungry.
okay, I don't care. He's like, let's eat the cake. He's like, we're gonna be married in a year. It's like stupid, like superstition. So we had cake.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
So, fun stuff.
I
Uh,
fun stuff.
but it's not like fireworks happening and scaring your dog off. So,
That's in a new country that's, never really been there. So
yeah.
Rose and Ben go off to search for the dog together. They check out the lake, and I was like, thank God Coco isn't in the lake. And I was like, we don't kill
Yeah.
dogs.
Mm-mm. Don't kill dogs, number one.
Don't kill dogs. Rule number one in all books that
Yeah.
we read. So
Yeah.
then they head into the house to search for Coco, and they end up fighting her in the wine cellar. And I'm like, okay, only problem. Door's stuck, and they can't get out. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Ben like tries to call Marco on the phone, but like everyone's looking for the dog, so no one's answering their phones. And so Ben's like, let's have some wine, like we'll wait it out. And then Rose starts to freeze because wine cellars, especially like in Italy, are going to be really cold. And Ben's like, oh, he puts his arms around her. He's like trying to like warm her up. And I'm like, ooh, okay, something's happening. And then they start to dance. Ben's like, let's dance, it'll help. And then like things start heating up a little bit more. And then Rose, surprisingly, because Ben's been like a gentleman this entire time, right?
Yes.
And this is all like the same night of this kiss that happened earlier, right? Rose tells Ben she wants to throw her rules out the window. And he's the first person that's ever made her want to do that. And then
Wow.
Ben like kisses her. And then she's like, I want more and more. She's like, I want everything. And then they end up having sex in the wine cellar. And I'm like, did not see that coming.
Bravo.
Kudos to that.
Hmm.
And then immediately after they're done, like, and they're not even fully dressed yet, Luna and Marco decide to show up. And it's like very clear what was going on in the wine cellar. I think Luna finds like the red thong and is like,
Yeah,
oh.
Coco has the red thong in her mouth, and Luna's like, "Oh, Coco, what do you have?" Oh,
Uh, oh.
and Ben's like, "I'll take that.
I'll take
Thank you."
that. That's fine. Right? And so even though Coco's been found, Luna is like still pretty convinced at this point, like the wedding is off the next morning. And Rose, it's interesting because like this whole book up until now, Rose has been very much against the wedding. And now she's starting to have like a little change of heart because she's realizing that Marco does adore Luna, which is like she's given him a little bit of a chance and she's starting to see what I guess Ben sees in him.
Rose wants to talk to Luna, but ends up running into Aurora instead, who seems to know, because she always knows, that something happened between her and Ben last night in the wine cellar. And she's like, "Oh, yes, Aldo believes you have a great future together." And you're like, okay, well, Aldo needs to keep his spirit mind out of business. But
The
that's
wine
when
cellar.
right? Yeah. It's like, stop it, dude. But that's when Rose admits that she's worried that Ben doesn't feel the same way and only seems to want casual relationships. And that's when Aurora tells her about how his ex-fiance made him feel. Like, she's like, "You don't understand. Like, she made him feel like he wasn't worth anything, that he was just coveted but never loved." And then, of course, our very lovely eccentric Aurora has some of the best lines in the book. She says, "I think I'm lucky, but if Aldo could be here with me physically, I wouldn't bother myself with petty concerns like following rules or waiting for the perfect time. If he were here, I would grab that man with both arms and I would never let him go." And you're like,
I love that.
because it's so sad because like she only had 4 years with her husband before he died in a freak accident.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but then she says, she's like, I am lucky that like I still have like my husband's like spirit with me and like I have this relationship that's lasted longer than their physical one. And you're like, well, I guess that's a good relationship. But then she shares, she's like, "Aldo says you need to go to the lake," which is where Rose is assuming that's where Luna is and that's where she's going to find Luna. Turns out it's Ben that's at the lake. And I'm like, oh my God, Aurora, you and Aldo are just like the two
The love
little
doctors.
matchmakers. The love doctors, yeah. So Ben was also sent to the lake by Aurora and Aldo too. And you're just like,
Hmm.
And then Ben shares with her that he likes her and he does want something more with her. And Rose admits that she likes him too. But then Luna texts and says, "Hey, I want to meet up." And you're like, okay, great. She's like, "Let me go back to my friend." And on the way back, they see the olive tree that had gotten burned down by the Nono. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's starting to grow back. And somehow that causes Rose to just like agree to speak with Isabella about her marriage too. She's like, "You know what? Let me see if I can help fix this." So back at the house, Marco is frantic about Luna and wants to apologize to her, but she just won't talk to him. So Rose suggests that she talks to Luna first while Ben and Marco just kind of like wait and catch up. So Rose says that she won't convince Luna to go ahead with the wedding, but she will get her to at least talk to Marco and that she likely is, going to try to help. But actually, she's like, "You know what? Luna was probably just really upset last night and, she'll be in a better mood today. Like, let's just like give her a chance. And then she says if Luna wants to marry Marco, then she's like, "I'll be supportive of it. So my friend wants to, I'll help you out." And you're like, okay, that's a really good turnaround, Rose. Like, good for you. You made your own progress in your love doctoring.
Way to
I'm happy
go.
for that. Yeah.
So Rose and Luna chat. Obviously, Luna's like, what happened with Ben? I would like details. And she's like, "I'm really happy for you." They talk about the wedding and how Luna's feeling about it. And Rose suggests that like you go talk to Marco. The key to a good relationship is communication. And we said that a million times. It really is. And she's like, if you want to marry Marco, then you should and forget about what everyone else thinks. Preach. So, meanwhile, Marco and Ben are chatting outside about Rose. And Marco, like, thanks Ben, right? Like, thanks for keeping her occupied and helping change her mind about the wedding. And Rose and Luna overhear all of it, right? Which causes
Not the good
Rose,
parts.
not the good parts, right? The parts where it's like Rose assumes that Ben seduced her to prevent her from stopping the wedding. And then Luna's like, what kind of man am I marrying if he would ask his friend to do this? It
Yeah.
reminded me, you mentioned this earlier about how to lose a guy in 10 days. It reminded me a lot of that scene at the gala where like she overhears them talking about the bet, like the bet,
The
and he
bet.
overhears it and things like that. So very kind of like similar vibes. And then, like, to make matters worse, while this is all happening, Luna's mom calls and is like, I've lost your grandmother's necklace. Like, and Luna's just like, oh,
Shit
right?
hits the
So
fan.
shit hits the fan. Whatever could go wrong at this wedding is happening right now. And then Rose makes a comment to Luna about how, like, she jumps into relationships. And then Luna's like, fine, you're getting what you're wanting. The wedding's off.
Again.
Like, again.
Yeah.
Because I guess it was maybe on for like a half a minute before they
Yeah.
overheard Marco and Ben talking.
Yeah.
I mean, no one else knew it was on, but I think in Luna's mind it was. So then Ben is like, comes to find Rose and he's like, what happened? And she's like, I overheard everything that you talked to Marco about. And he, I think, is trying to be like mature in this situation. He's like, let me explain what happened. But Rose like refuses to listen to him. And she just says, like, he's not right for her, just like Marco isn't right for Luna. And it's really heartbreaking, I think, because Rose is like treating Ben pretty poorly in this situation, especially given in general, but especially given his history. It's like she's really like in that conversation hitting on some of like the deepest insecurities that like at that point in the book she has to be aware of. And then Ben like tries to reiterate to her like what has happened between us is real. But you were, and then this is where I think he like punches her back a little bit with I think the truth, unfortunately for her. But he's like, you were always looking for a way out because you're terrified of love given everything that's happened with your parents. And it's to me, one of the things I thought was really unique about this is he is like so spot on with everything about her. And he's only known her for a handful of days at this point.
Yeah. You're like, oof, dude.
Whereas like Luna doesn't seem to be able to see that. And it's her best friend for however many years.
Yeah. And you're like, communicate, like we say, communication is key, but also listening is key.
Yes.
And it's like, girl, like he is telling you things that maybe you don't want to hear, but it's the truth. But also like you need to hear other stuff he's saying. Like he's able to explain himself. So Rose then like keeps her promise to speak to Isabella before she leaves and finds her with Cesare refusing to go to Olive Grove with him. But Rose goes into Isabella's house to chat with her and learns the truth about how Cesare's obsession with his phone made her feel like she was replaced. And you're like, oh, like imagine this like 80-year-old little nonna. And she's just like, you don't love me, you love your phone. And you're like, oh, I feel so bad for her.
Yeah.
And then you burn out her tree. Like, of course.
Her love
she's
tree.
upset.
No.
Her love tree. Her love fern. So Isabella then also pushes Rose on how she feels about Ben. And Isabella reiterates that Ben is a good person who would never want to hurt her. Plus, then Aurora's crystal ball. She's like, the crystal ball and Aldo predicted you two would be together. And again, she's like, oh my God, what is it with this like crazy, mystical, like fantastical stuff you guys have in this family? But whatever. So then Rose runs into Marco and he's really upset again because Luna shares how devastated basically everything is about potentially losing Luna. And he's just like, she's the love of my life. Like, I cannot lose her. And he tells her, like, please don't blame Ben for what happened. And admits that, like, Ben didn't actually do what I told him to do. Like, Ben said he doesn't want to seduce you, doesn't want to just distract you for the sake of the wedding. And he's never seen Ben this upset before after an argument, like, not even with his ex-fiance. So, surprisingly, Rose tells Marco, you know what? Go ahead and get everything ready for the wedding. Leave everything else to me. She's basically going to save this wedding. After she came into it trying to destroy it, she's like, I'm going to save it. We're good. And a lot of things happen very, very quickly. Rose calls Luna's mom and tells her, like, don't worry about the necklace. I'm going to figure it out. You just get on the next flight here. This wedding is still going to happen. Then Rose is very brave and gets into the car to drive off to the place where her and Ben picked up the statue. And Aurora says, "Hey, take Coco with you." And like weirdly enough, Coco seems to finally be like calm with Rose and like doesn't want to kill her and like sits very nicely in the car next to her. And it's like, okay, demon dog, like what are you up to? But it's nice, gives Rose some company. Maybe it's a carpooling buddy. I don't know. So then Cesare gives Aurora his phone because he's like, I have more important things to keep my time occupied with, like my wife. So he's like, I don't need this. I'm going to listen and give away my phone. And Aurora's like, ooh, I can download all these apps, like all these tarot card apps. And you're like, it worked for her. Okay. And then Rose tells Luna that Marco loves her and they're supposed to be together. And like, she's like, I've seen all these things that Marco wants to do for you. It's clear he's in love with you. And then she shares that she's fixed all the other potential wedding problems and gives her this very beautiful necklace that she bought at that store, like the Curiosity store or something it was called. And then she's like, by the way, there's a pair of matching sapphire earrings that I'm going to wear. So it's kind of like, you know, something borrowed, something blue, and something old and something new. You know, that whole like rhyme and reason. So Rose comes in, saves the day, has all this stuff planned. And you're like, great. I guess the wedding's going to happen.
And it does. So Marco shares with Ben that Rose is the reason they're getting married and everything Rose did to make sure the wedding is happening, including driving a car, which like shocks Ben and us.
Yeah.
Because I fully expected her to get in an accident, or the other thing I expected to happen, it was also a Ricky Bobby Talladega Nights reference, when there's like the cougar in the car with him. I feel like that's what would happen with Coco in the car with Rose.
Coco. Yeah.
It didn't. It was calm. She was like a very calming
good.
presence. Ben wants to apologize to Rose, but Marco's like, she's with Luna getting ready, like you can't talk to her yet. And he's like, I'm sure she'll forgive you, just like Luna forgave Marco. Wedding goes off smoothly. Ben is like in awe of how beautiful Rose is, like especially during the ceremony, but they still haven't talked up to this point. And so
she won't even look at him either.
She won't even look at him, right? Like, so he like has no idea where he stands with her. And then at the reception, he does his best man's toast, which I wish we could have like listened to.
Yeah.
And read in the book. And then he decides, like, at the end to, like, speak from his heart. And then, like, Aurora and Aldo, like, encourage him to do it. And he proceeds to, like, apologize to Rose in front of everyone. And so I just imagine this, like, packed reception area. And he's, like, telling Rose, like, how sorry he is, how much he loves her. And she, like, responds by getting up and, like, kissing him. And everyone else claps. So it's, like, a really sweet ending. And then we get this, like, kind of pretty short epilogue where we see, like, Rose and Ben, I think they're living together is the assumption that I made when I read it. Rose, like, boss bitched up and didn't go to either parent's wedding.
Yay.
Shocker, they're both divorced again or getting divorced again. It didn't work out. Her parents are weirdly driving together to come see her. And she's like, do you think they're getting back together? And Ben's like, it's not our problem.
Not our problem.
Preach.
Yes.
And then
boundaries. Good.
Boundaries. Aurora calls her to say, Aldo just told me you're expecting. Congratulations. And then that's kind of how the book ends. And I'm like,
yeah.
Whew. Okay, Aldo.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. I wonder if they named the baby Aldo.
That would be that would be so sweet and funny.
It'd be funny.
He is the reason for a lot of this. Okay, so really in terms of hot and steamy, it felt like a 2.5 pepper. We get like
I'd say more of just like a 2.
Okay, a 2 pepper. We get like one scene. There's not a lot of language used, but let's talk about it. You want to talk about chapter 19, Sex in the Wine Cellar?
You know I do. Okay, so here, basically we get this part where she says, Ben must have agreed because a few seconds later he was inside her. And they were moving together. He had a forearm pressed on the table, making sure he didn't lean on her too much. Very nice. And she appreciated his thoughtfulness, even though it still surprised her. She shut her eyes, trying not to overthink, trying just to enjoy the moment. There was a lot to enjoy. She reached up and hugged Ben tightly, wrapped her legs around him, moving in sync. It didn't take long before she was on the roller coaster again. Then she was diving and swooping, kissing him so fiercely she wasn't able to stop. And then he joined her on the ride, groaning into her mouth until they both seemed to land, breathing heavily, their hearts seemingly hammering in sync. And you're like, oh my, oh my. But there was like a little bit before that where he went down on her, but we don't get detail on it. It's just like he pulls down like her top and like ruffles up her skirt, pulls her down to the edge of the table, and then like you kind of get a little bit of like her saying like she put her hands in his hair, and you're just like, okay. And then she like finds release, and then again like that's when he like jumps on her and like they have sex, and you're like, I want more details.
Always.
I need more details,
Always.
please. So yeah, there's a lot of tension, a lot of sexual tension.
But even a 5-pepper book, we always want more details.
I mean, we always want more details. Like we're just like, come on, more. But specifically here, I'm like, more, please, just like a little something.
So in terms of what's next, if you enjoyed this book, we think you'll also love, I mean, she has 14 other books. So if you like her writing style, you're probably going to like some of the other ones. We also have an author interview episode dropping with Donna that comes out in a couple of days. And then The Highland Fling or Vacation Wars by Megan Quinn, The 4 Engagement Rings of Sybil Rain by Hannah Brown, or The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren are all books that will transport you to another country or island while you're reading them. So think of them as the most affordable vacations ever.
Join us next week when we dive into the world of romantasy and discuss The Robin on the Oak Throne by K.A. Lind. Maybe a little bit of a Irish journey there. Fun times. Happy reading, everybody.
Happy reading. Thanks for listening to Late Night Reads. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Late Night Reads Podcast. And check out latenightreads.com for even more information about all the books we're reading. If you loved today's episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. And share the show with your fellow book lovers.